So here we have Brian. So the first thing we discussed was when you're extending that right arm, you could see how your head was really dipping underwater. So that creates some extra drag issues. It breaks your streamline. It's just not very symmetrical or balanced. So you did correct that, and we'll see that later on in the video. With that left arm, you can see how your left arm sort of enters the water a little wide. So you're at this point, your right arm was coming a little too close in and then entering down or extending downward, and your left arm sort of entering a little wider than I would recommend, or outside the line of your body. Your body position is pretty good. Actually, it's fine. The kick is doing well. It's supporting your stroke. From a triathlon standpoint, the kick does not have to be super strong. It's good to have a strong kick, so that is something you can work on in training, just to have that tool in your arsenal. We discussed this as well. It looks like when you extend forward, there's a bit of extra pause. It's on the tenths of a second kind of time scale. But when you extend forward, you want to extend and then reach forward as far as possible. But once you can no longer reach forward, you start the stroke or you initiate the catch. If you extend forward and then just reach forward for streamline's sake, or just reach forward because you read that somewhere, all you're going to do is lose momentum, unless you have an extremely strong kick, which you're not going to do in a half Ironman. So you reach forward, and then as soon as you can no longer stretch out your lat, you initiate the catch. So it's a little tricky. It's a minor thing, but it does, all those tenths of a second add up. So here you get a view of just what's going on with that right arm when you're extending down. So it's creating a bit of a up and down bob. The rest of your streamline is fine. You can see how your legs stay in the same line as your torso. That's the main reason I catch this angle on the video. And then back to that left arm. You see how it's entering almost outside the entire line of your body. So you don't need it to come right in front of your head, but that might be a little wide. Now you could be comfortable there. It's something to play with. All right, so underwater, here's where we get the real sort of meat and potatoes of the stroke. So you can see how deep down that right arm enters. So you're losing some water at the beginning of this stroke there. I'm looking at the right arm again. Once you start the pullback, you do get that catch motion, or that high elbow catch motion. It's just being initiated later in the stroke. Again, purely talking about the right arm. Let's look at the left arm here. So left arm enters, extends, and then you get a decent catch, from a high elbow or early vertical standpoint, or early vertical forearm standpoint. So the goal with the catch is to pivot your hand and forearm down relative to the bottom of the pool, and then sort of anchor your hand and forearm and pull your body past that point. At the end of the video, I'm going to have a couple of freeze frame screenshots so you can see that sort of frame by frame, or you can pause this video and just look at where your stroke is. So with that left arm, it's what I refer to as a straight arm pull, more or less. You do have some catch in there, but you're sort of pulling straight down and straight back. So the deal with that sort of pull is that you just give up a little bit of extra leverage that you could get by adopting a high elbow position. Now here we had talked about smoothing out the right arm entry to keep your head level. You're doing a pretty good job here. You can still see it dipping slightly, but you're doing a much better job extending forward with your right hand as opposed to extending down. No, that wasn't you.
So now we're doing smooth right arm.
That happens sometimes when I'm editing a video.
Closer to center line.
All right, here you can see you're staying very smooth, very streamlined. So with swimming, you got a number of factors. The main ones being how much power can you exert with each stroke, or power per pull. And then you have the technique itself. So does the technique direct you to move forward? And then you do have streamlining or hydrodynamics. So by eliminating that up and down head motion or up and down torso motion, you become more streamlined, which will just make you faster purely, if nothing else changed. Just by becoming more streamlined, you'll swim more quickly.
This is catch-up drill, just getting the timing down.
This is a catch-up drill. So the focus with this drill is really working on extending your arm forward, hyper-extending that lat or hyper-stretching that lat as much as you can, as much as your body allows, in order to grab as much water when you begin the stroke. So this looks really pretty good. So two things you're working on here: extension and then the actual catch form, the high elbow catch. Thinking about anchoring your hand and forearm, exerting force, getting leverage out of the position. Again, if you improve your technique quite a bit, and we talked about workout training structure, you can improve your technique to a certain point, but then you need to exert force or pull hard. It's easy for me to say that, it's tougher to do, but you can really feel it if you're winded after you do a 50 pulling hard, or if your lats are sore after a workout, then you're doing the correct motion, or mostly correct motion. If you do an entire workout and you don't really feel any sort of soreness or tiredness in your lats, then you're missing something. Your shoulders will get a workout either way because of the motion of the recovery. Recovery is when your arm is out of the water. Occasionally when you're kicking here, it could be because you're drilling. You don't want your legs to come too far apart. That's called a scissor kick. What happens if you get a scissor kick in your stroke? Then that also breaks your streamline or your hydrodynamics. So one arm drill. This one is really good for, again, extension and working on the catch. It's also a strength drill. Forces you to just use that one side. If you have a weak side, then when you do one arm drill, it's good to do more with the weak side as opposed to the strong side. If you want to get a quantitative or qualitative judgment on that, do a 50 with your left, look at the time that it took you, then do a 50 with your right and look at the time, and that'll tell you very easily which is your strong side. So it's good. You can see a lot of improvement just in the video here. So here's a few freeze frames. These are every 3 frames. So this is your left. So you extend and then you pretty quickly start the stroke. It's more or less a straight arm. Your hand and forearm haven't gone vertical relative to your upper arm or angled down towards the bottom of the pool. So it's not until you're about 40% of the way through the stroke that you really get the sort of angle that's going to move you mostly forward in the pool. Now here on your right, I had to cut out a couple frames for time. So you extend and then sort of drifted forward, leaving your arm extended forward like that. So that's a couple frames there. And then when you start the catch, you do get the sort of forearm angle that we're looking for. So that's a good catch there. It's just really late in the stroke. You can see your lat flexing and everything. So that's good. Just do that earlier in the stroke.